We're now getting news, and I want to make sure. I always get their names wrong. So David, you have to bail me out here. But the Game of Thrones writers,
Benioff and Weiss.
nice. It's just been confirmed that they are going to be doing several Star Wars movies. It was just announced. Kathleen Kennedy,
A trilogy.
a trilogy, made the announcement. And David, I think you have the statement pulled up from it. I know it was on StarWars.com. We'll get to that in just a second.
Do you want their statement or Kathleen's statement?
Kathleen's would be fine.
Okay.
Kathleen's would be fine. Honestly, we could do both. Do you have Kathleen's pulled up?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Because Kathleen gives some really good insight into this decision.
Speaking about the duo, she says that David and Dan are some of the best storytellers working today. Their command of complex characters, depth of story, and richness of mythology will break new ground and boldly push Star Wars in ways I find incredibly exciting.
I think that's great. And before we go on to the statement from Benioff and Weiss, you are a big Game of Thrones fan.
I have three franchises or stories that I love. I love Star Wars, obviously, Lord of the Rings, and Game of Thrones. I have read the Game of Thrones books. Weiss and Benioff. I mean, there's things I don't agree with what they did, but I understand why they did it in the terms of for filmmaking and everything. They tell basically that story. Fantastic.
It's not
their casting abilities were just spot on. Amelia Clark, I could go on and on.
Right. You don't always get a good movie that's been based on a book. You know what I'm saying? It's not an easy task to take a book, especially this. Martin's book is not an easy thing to get through. There's a lot of lineage that keeps me from getting into it. They've adapted this to the screen near flawlessly.
Yeah, and again, just the casting of the actors and everything. I mean, who knew who Kit Harington was before Game of Thrones, kind of thing. So it's one of those things where I have a lot of confidence in their abilities. Though here, I'm excited about it, but at the same time, I've seen actually some Twitter posts we don't need a rated R. Star Wars.
Yes, we do.
And I actually think yes, we do, because if you want to capture the gritty essence and the darker side of the galaxy, you need writers and directors and creators who have experience showing that stuff.
I absolutely
I'm not
agree.
saying we need to see blood splattering all over. I'm not talking seeing Game of Thrones in a Star Wars, universe. You just have to look at their skill set and their ability to bring the lore on screen and everything and do it correctly.
I totally do what you say, and I agree with you. And I'm a firm believer they should have left Revenge of the Sith rated R. They should have let that movie be a true rated R film. I think the majority of fans like that film more. I think fans, especially older generation, would just, the amount of money a rated R Star Wars movie would make would be incredible.
And I'll be honest, if they're on board for multiple projects, I'm still wanting that Boba Fett or a bounty hunter movie.
See, I
think they would be perfect for it.
I think that's a good idea for a movie, but I think it's because of Game of Thrones. I think a Knights of the Old Republic era trilogy it best suits them.
As long as we're getting I don't mind the use of the era, as long as we're maybe getting kind of original. An original story arc with maybe reference to those main characters.
It's probably going to be new characters. Probably new characters in that era.
But more sabers flinging. That's what I want.
You want more lightsabers flinging?
Yeah.
I want to see go ahead.
I like them.
Yeah.
That's all I was
I want to see I want to see hundreds of Sith and hundreds of Jedi on screen at some point. I want to have a great battle.
That scene in Attack of the Clones when all the Jedi land on Geonosis.
Right.
I want that, but not shitty.
I think that's a really fair request.
It's for the trailer for the Old Republic, but you need to see the Deceived trailer because you basically get that.
Deceived trailer?
Yeah, I mean it's old, kind of thing, but yeah, you basically get a crap ton of Sith and a bunch of Jedi clashing.
David, you're not a big Game of Thrones fan.
So I can respect Game of Thrones.
Okay.
And I like the world that they've built. However, I like to get attached to characters, and Martin doesn't. So
Martin rips them away from you. I understand this pain.
I pick up the first book. There's a couple campers out there north of the wall, and then they get destroyed by the white people. They're dead. Then you pick up with the Starks family, and then I get to the point where Ned Stark's character dies, and I threw
Spoilers. Spoilers.
It's been out long enough. I threw the damn book across the room and said no. So I still have the book, and it's got like a dent in the corner of it because I threw it against the wall. So then I'm like, okay, so maybe I can't do that. So we'll just go watch the movie because, maybe I won't get attached to the characters because I'm not getting in their mind. I got to episode 7 of the first season, and Sean Bean dies. I should have known that he dies in everything he's in. He dies, and I'm like, nope. I turn off the TV, throw it against the couch, and I walked away. And I
Imagine how I felt when I read the Red Wedding.
I can't.
Because that book did fly across the room.
Well, let's remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is a Star Wars podcast. So getting back on topic, we both acknowledge that we're fans of Game of Thrones. We're maybe not so much a fan of Game of Thrones, but appreciate the world building. Mm-hmm. Everything that you said is really good for Star Wars. It's really good for a Star Wars trilogy, and whether it's Bounty Hunter Underworld that you want, or what I think is a better chance of the Knights of the Old Republic era, strap in because they're going to crush it, because their writing is phenomenal. Like Jesse said, the casting is phenomenal, and part of that writing, world building. And what do we want with these Star Wars movies? Continued world building. We want to see new species. We want to go on these new adventures. I'm excited for it. And if you are, be sure you let us know in the comments down below.